My love affair with Scotland started when I was 17 years old, and my parents took my brother and me on this wonderful trip to Scotland, England, and France. It was an amazing trip. But my interest in the country had started several years before that. My parents had been able to go to Scotland about 5 years prior to this trip, and they had absolutely fallen in love with it. My father had been very comfortable driving on the left side of the road, even though it was the first time he'd ever done that. And they were traveling all over the country. They were seeing beautiful scenery, lochs and rolling hills, mountains and waterfalls. And they were traveling in the Highlands and having a wonderful time. Now, my mother was sitting in the passenger seat with a paper map on her lap. Do you remember paper maps? There were no sat-navs at that time. There were no mobile phones. My mom was navigating. And my father was doing a very good job until they found that they were lost. They really had no idea how to get to their next destination. Well, suddenly they rounded a curve, and there on a hill was a shepherd with his sheep. So my father pulled over to the side of the road, and he said to my mom, "I'm going to go and ask the gentleman if he can help us." So he got out of the car, he crossed the road, climbed the hill, and explained to the shepherd where he and my mother were trying to go. Now, my mother was in the car with the window down, listening to the whole conversation. The shepherd listened very attentively and then looked at my dad quizzically and said, "Hey, no car, man?" My father said, "I beg your pardon?" "Hey, no car, man." Excuse me? Car! My father suddenly realized that the Scotsman was asking him if he had a car. So he pointed to the car at the base of the hill with my mother sitting in it. Well, the Scotsman smiled. And then he proceeded to tell my dad exactly how to get to their destination. My father thanked him, went down the hill, crossed the road, and slid into the driver's seat. My mother looked at my father adoringly. She thought the sun rose and set with him. "Bob, you're wonderful. I listened to the whole conversation. I didn't understand a word he said. Tell me, where are we going?" "I don't know, Sylvia. I didn't understand anything he said either."